Did you ever do the puzzle Where's Waldo? It's a picture puzzle where a person that looks like this is hidden inside a picture where all kinds of things are happening. You find the guy in the red and white striped shirt, funny hat, and blue pants. And if you like puzzles, it's a great one. Some are easy. It's easy to find Waldo in that picture. You can see him standing out right there. And the goal is to keep solving puzzles as they get harder and harder. There's one in your handout, and it's a little harder. And I know most of you, all of you, are completely dialed into this service, and you haven't been distracted in playing that during the announcements or the offertory or while I've started speaking. But if you have, has anyone found Waldo yet? See, y'all are smarter. The other services, they self-identified. Yeah, I haven't been paying attention. I found Waldo. Well, in the picture on your handout, there's Waldo. There he is. You can see it's all simple. And I'm confident you would have found it eventually, but some Where's Waldo pictures, well, they're impossible. You can't find him easily because he looks so much like everyone else. Waldo blends in so well with his surroundings, he just doesn't stand out. Take a look at this one. Now, I still haven't found Waldo in that one. I'm sure he's there, but it all looks the same to me. And we've got a confession this morning that we played Where's Waldo during the service. During the first song, did any of you see the hidden Waldo that was in our service? Okay, well, if you didn't, we had him in our first song. In case you missed him, here's a picture, first, the whole stage. Okay, so look closely. All right, if you don't see him. Now, do a close-up on the drum cage. Okay? Yep, there's Waldo. Waldo played drums for us. Yep. You can tell all your friends this week, I went to church with a famous person. That's right. That guy just shows up everywhere. Paul wrote Philippians to his friends at Philippi to give them instructions on standing out from others, specifically how to have joy in adversity. What makes Philippians spectacular is that Paul wrote about joy and contentment and peace from prison. Chained to a Roman soldier, he was waiting on trial. And that wasn't bad enough. While all that was taking place, a group of Christians in the area began attacking him as well. If Paul had gone negative or complained, we'd completely understand. But he did the opposite. He was more worried about the people at Philippi than himself. He wanted them to experience the same peace and joy he had. And in Philippians chapter 2, verses 12 through 18, Paul shared this desire for the church, for the people at Philippi, to stand out from the crowd around it. Let's take a look. Therefore, my dear friends, as you have always obeyed, not only in my presence, but now much more in my absence, continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God who works in you to will and to act according to his good purpose. Do everything without complaining and arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a crooked and depraved generation, in which you shine like stars in the universe. And as you hold out the word of life, in order that I may boast on the day of Christ that I did not run or labor for nothing, but even if I'm poured out like a drink offering, on the sacrifice and service coming from your faith, I am glad and rejoice with all of you. So you too should be glad and rejoice with me. Now, Philippi was a city in northern Greece, and Paul visited there and started a church. It grew. But the church at Philippi was still a minority in the community. Greek gods and goddesses were worshipped. Even the emperor of Rome himself was worshipped as a god there. And those pagan religions, they were evil. They were despicable. They incorporated ritual sacrifice. Gross sexual activity was a part of their worship. Witchcraft had come into their practices. And Christians Christians lived very different lives from their pagan neighbors. And if Paul had created a puzzle called Where's the Christian at Philippi, kind of like the Where's Waldo game, Christians would have been easy to spot. At Philippi, they were supposed to be different from their neighbors. The problem was, they didn't actually stand out. Their lives were different from others around them. And I'm afraid American Christianity is eerily similar. I think we may have blended in so well with our culture that it's hard to distinguish us at times. Do we stand out? Are we different? Do you stand out? Are you different? I'm not talking about the clothes that you wear or political positions, but in how we treat others and how we live our everyday lives. Can the people at your work see a different approach to life in you than the others that work there? At school, do you use the same dirty words, the same inappropriate jokes as everyone else? If you were a part of a Where's the Christian puzzle, would you be easy to find or hard to find? Now, I'm not talking about like you go to work with a coffee mug that says, I love Jesus. Or on the back of your car is a bumper sticker that says, follow me to church. I'm not talking about that. Are you different? Paul actually was stronger in his words, saying we should not just stand out, but he said, children of God without fault in a crooked generation in which you shine like stars in the universe. We don't just stand out. We are like stars in the night. Ever been camping far away from the city, out in the woods? The stars are so much brighter. And the stars just look better when you're there. In Paul's time, they didn't have electricity. They didn't have lights like we had today. Stars were bright and they filled the sky. And there's nothing like the beauty of a night sky filled with stars. And Philippi was a dark and an empty place. And we should shine in that darkness. And Paul said Jesus' followers shine brightly like stars filling the darkness. Jesus called himself the light of the world, and we, his followers, are carriers of light. We shine. We don't blend in, and we don't just stand out. We actually attract attention to ourselves by how we live. And our world is a dark and empty place. We should shine in that darkness. And so the next question is, so how do you do that? How do you shine? How do you stand out from the crowd around you? And Paul told the Philippians, here's how you shine. And we learned that shining in darkness is directly related to how we treat others. Look back at verse 14. Paul said, do everything without complaining. Do you remember that amazing, important television show that shaped all of our lives and culture called Sesame Street? One of my favorite characters was Oscar the Grouch.
You know what's right with this world? Nothing. You know what really makes me hot under the collar? You name it. And the next time some goody two-shoes smiles and tells you to have a nice day, you just remember, don't let the sunshine spoil your brain. Just stand up and complain. Just stand up and complain.
Hopefully you didn't run into those guys out in the lobby when you came to church today. I love that line. Nothing is right with the world. Just stand up and complain. You know what? That seems to be the mantra of so many people today. We live in a world of complainers. Nobody seems to be happy with anything because complainers are incredibly self-centered. They see everything in light of how it affects them and what they want. Rather than helping or finding good, they think their role is to point out what's wrong. Chronic complainers are toxic in any relationship or organization. And it's in that negative darkness that surrounds us as a culture that Christians have an opportunity to shine brightly. Because in all of the negativity and complaining in our culture today, let's be positive. Let's be positive. We shine brightly with our positivity, while there is negativity that is dark. Rachel Briley is one of our MTC students. She's studying here to be a missionary to Africa. Rachel is one of the most positive people I know. She just sees the best in others. A couple months ago, I was working on a project. I was behind. I was frustrated. I was discouraged. I didn't know what to do. So I called Rachel. I asked her to come work on the project. Number one, I knew she'd help and it would get done. But secondly, I just wanted her positivity around. I needed it. She's contagious, and positivity is contagious. Positive people turn negative situations around. Make the decision to be positive. Instead of commenting on what is wrong, point out what's right. Instead of always saying, well, it won't work, be a part of making it work. Stop dwelling on the negative and do what Paul described in Philippians chapter 4, verse 6, when he said, here's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable. If anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about that. Rita Russell has this verse on her computer. Why? Well, she said, if something bad comes up in a meeting, or I'm tempted to begin to think about something that's unhelpful or unproductive, I remind myself through that Bible verse to think about what is true, what is right, what is pure, what is lovely, what is admirable, what is excellent, and what is praiseworthy. And listening to her, I think that would be a really good Bible verse to put on our televisions and our computers. To remind ourselves to only look at what is true, pure, and right. And when everything is negative, to be challenged to think about what is positive and excellent, and in that moment, to shine. Now, as part of this message, we've got some to-dos, some assignments to do this week. And here's the first one. I want you to say something positive every day. Take time each day to say something positive to someone. Choose to find the good in a meeting when everyone else is obsessing about how bad it is. Be positive. Wouldn't it be cool if everyone who attended First Assembly this weekend, we all posted on social media every day something positive? We would break Facebook, which would be awesome. And Paul said next, do everything without complaining or arguing. And the people at Philippi had been arguing. It's obvious that rivalry and two rivals had come against each other. It's one of the main reasons we have the book of Philippians, is Paul is writing to them and asking them to stop their rivalry, to stop arguing, and to stop fighting. Now, thanks be unto God, baseball season has just started. Opening day was March 29th, and I'm a huge San Francisco Giants fan. I love my Giants. I love it when they win. But I confess to you that I love it more when the Giants beat the Dodgers. It's exciting. Beating the Dodgers is more fun. They're our rivals, and yes, we did beat them on opening day, and 2 out of 3 this weekend. They are our rivals. I'm a lifelong Razorback fan. I've been all my life, over 30 plus years of watching them lose and occasionally win. I see that you too are a Razorback fan. And I love pulling for the Razorbacks. I love it when they win. But you know what I love pulling for the Razorbacks and whoever is playing Texas and LSU. I want my team to win and I want them to lose. Can I get a witness? It's probably okay to have rivals in sports to some extent, but when we bring that kind of competitiveness to everyday life, the result's conflict. Arkansas versus LSU is just a game, maybe an important game, but it's just a game. But when we fight and argue amongst ourselves, what it actually reveals is our own insecurities. We love to fight and argue in America. And in the darkness that surrounds us, of all that conflict and arguing, we shine bright when we get along with others. I'm sure, like me, you've noticed it seems like people are more passionate about their positions than ever before. TV talk shows, cable news channels no longer do news. It's just sort of cable position channels. There's political pundits. The list goes on, and they spew their conflict and hatred at each other. People make rivals out of just about anything. If you've attended our church for any amount of time, you know how important resolving conflict is to us. And the reason why is we've seen the damage unresolved conflict does. It rips apart families. It bankrupts and destroys businesses. It divides churches. And when we resolve conflict, we are counterculture. It's how we shine in the darkness. Culture refuses to forgive, and when you forgive, you shine brightly. Culture refuses to find middle ground, and when you sacrifice your preference, you shine brightly. Culture celebrates fighting and arguing and quarreling, and when you make peace, you shine brightly. The people at Philippi were arguing and fighting amongst themselves. It's really sad when arguing and fighting get in the way of people seeing Jesus. It's up to us. It's time to put away petty arguments and disagreements. It's time to stop demanding my way. The tone and rhetoric of today's culture is loud, offensive, and combative. Let's be gentle. Let's be affirming. Let's be peace-filled. Let's talk about ways to unite rather than to separate. Let's commit to listen to each other. And let's commit to forgive each other. And if you have conflict, your assignment this week is simple. It's time to resolve that conflict. To do whatever it takes to get to the place where peace is what you're known for rather than fighting. Now in your handout, I put a link to a message Pastor Rod taught on resolving conflict. If you need to resolve conflict, go watch it this week. It will help you accomplish your assignment. And then Paul said in verse 15, so that you may become blameless and pure children of God without fault in a crooked and depraved generation. Talk about setting a high bar. Paul says, I want you to be pure, blameless, and without fault. Wow, does anybody feel intimidated by that? That's pretty easy, simple today. How in the world are you supposed to do that? Paul was talking about observable behavior. Our actions and our lifestyle, they should be observed by people. And that we live with integrity in every situation. And this is completely different from how our culture operates. It seems like every day on television or in the news, there's another scandal. There's another person who has done something wrong. Ethics and morality, they're fluid in today's dark culture. And Paul tells us if we're going to shine brightly, we need to do what's right in every situation. Have you ever heard the term situational ethics? It's the idea that something can be right in one set of circumstances, but in another set of circumstances, it could be wrong. In other words, every situation in life is different, so doing what's right can change as well. As followers of Jesus Christ, we don't believe this. We believe right is right in every situation. One of my first college jobs was at a place called Field of Dreams. It was a store in the mall that sold sports memorabilia and autographs of famous athletes. I loved the job. I had a manager named Shannon. Shannon was great. She was tough to work for. She expected us to work hard. And we got along most of the time. There was a point, however, where we ran into a problem. Shannon would change the price of an item if she thought she could personally make some money on the sale. She skimmed cash off the top. So, for example, a signed autographed picture of Michael Jordan would be $500. But she would list it as $550. And she'd sell it for $550 and give the store $500 and keep $50 for herself. A couple times, she actually changed the accounting numbers on the books so nobody would catch it. One day I figured it out, and I challenged her. Her response was to encourage me to do the same thing. She said, Randy, it's a great way to earn some extra money, and if people will pay for it, what's the big deal? I told her I couldn't do that. And needless to say, it made working together the next couple of weeks pretty tough. Not long after that, one of our regional managers made a surprise visit, saw the irregularities, and Shannon was fired. Now, I got to confess to you at this point, when she first offered me extra money as a poor college student, I almost took it. Because it wasn't just the extra money I needed. I needed the original $50 would have been awesome as a poor college kid. But I couldn't do it. You know what? Doing the right thing is hard. It's not easy. I understand this. Doing the right thing is important, but it's hard. Everyone in your class copies the answer for a quiz off the internet. You can't. You do the right thing. All your coworkers inflate their expense accounts. You can't. You do the right thing. Cheat on your taxes like everybody else. You can't. You do the right thing. Skip a tithe check? You can't. You do the right thing. Lie about someone at work so you can get the promotion? Oh, you can't. You do the right thing. After all, what's your integrity worth? What's your character worth? And in a sinful, dark world, we shine when we live with character and integrity. I want to challenge you to make sure you are doing things right. Are you doing right in every situation? Do you shine rightness at work, in your relationship, in your marriage, with your kids? And the assignment for this point, well, it's pretty simple, isn't it? It's time to make it right. If you're doing wrong, you need to make it right with God first, and then you need to fix it and make it right in the place that you're doing wrong. Now, I'm not done with the message. Paul still has some things he wants to say to us, but I'd like to ask you for just a second to bow your head and close your eyes. As I was preparing this message, I felt like God was going to speak to someone at this moment to make something right. In some area of your life, you've been doing wrong. Maybe it started out harmless, like you were just trying to cut corners, you were trying to save some money, or you were doing what everyone else in the room was doing at the time. Maybe it started out as a mistake. You didn't even realize it was wrong when you did it, but now you've learned it's wrong, and yet you've continued to do it. And you know it needs to stop. Maybe it's something with your spouse that you have been lying to him. You have been lying to her repeatedly. And you know it's wrong. You feel sick to your stomach. You feel convicted, yet you can't seem to stop. What's powerful about grace and forgiveness from Jesus is that it covers our sins, but enables us to move forward and to live right. And I don't want to embarrass you. I'm not going to single you out, but I do want to pray for you. And you see, Randy, I am doing something wrong. And I know it's wrong, and I need to make it right. I want to pray for you. If that's you, would you just slip up your hand real fast? Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Would you let me pray for you just a moment? Jesus, I pray each of us, but specifically these people, would respond to the push of your Spirit as you grab a hold of our hearts and you challenge us to do the right thing. Lord, would you give some people in this room the courage they need as they go this week to talk to their boss, to their coworker, to their spouse, to their kids, and they say, hey, I'm doing wrong. As they make it right, Would your forgiveness come to them and your grace? And at the same time, would you prepare that moment in the heart of their boss or their friend? And would you help them respond appropriately in this moment? Lord, would you let our church, would you help us, would you help me be known as people who are full of character and integrity, who do the right thing when everyone else does the wrong thing? In doing so, Lord, would you help us shine brightly in our dark world? I pray you would help the people who are here in Jesus' name. Amen. And Paul said all of that would cause us to shine like stars in the universe as you hold out the word of life. Now, interestingly, Paul didn't instruct them at that point to go talk about their faith. He assumed it was happening. Did you notice what he said? As you hold out the word of life. Paul's word hold out kind of has a double meaning. It's the word in Paul's language, and he spoke and wrote in Greek, kind of has a double meaning. It means at the same time to both hold on to and hold out to. Now, it seems kind of contradictory in English, but in the language that Paul was trying to use, it made perfect sense. In fact, Bible translators, depending on your translation, they go back and forth. They say some hold on to Jesus and hold out to. I like the way the Message translation puts this. It says, carry the light-giving message into the night. It's because when I carry something to you, what I do is I hold on to it as I bring it, and I bring it to who? You. I hold on to it as I hold it out to you. And when you carry that, when we hold out the word of life, when we hold out Jesus, we light up the night. And to shine, you must share Jesus. And I use that word share carefully, because when you share something, you still have part of it, and the person you are with also has part of it. Together, you both have possession and you share. As Paul would say, you hold on to it and you hold it out. We need to carry Jesus to the world. That's why missions is so important. In parts of the world that have never heard the name of Jesus, we carry Jesus to them. We share Jesus around the world. We don't send Jesus to them. We don't talk about Jesus to them. We share Jesus with them. And it's the same here. There are people in Central Arkansas who need the message of Jesus. We need to carry Jesus to them. We need to hold out Jesus while holding on to him simultaneously. And talking about Jesus is probably the easiest way we can shine in darkness. Last year I was really convicted about this. I'm a pastor. I talk about Jesus all the time. Well, I talk about Jesus all the time when I'm here at church. But in everyday conversations, Jesus and what he means to me, well, it wasn't coming up enough. And I committed last year to talk about him more. The results have been amazing. I've found talking about Jesus easier and easier. How much do you talk about Jesus? I mean, how often are you talking about God and what he's doing in your life? I'm not talking about when you come to Connections class or you're here in this building on this property, but when you're at home, when you're at work. Do the people who live around you, the people who work with you, the people you go to school with, do they know what Jesus means to you? Do they know what God has done in your life? And so the assignment's pretty simple, isn't it? This week, have a conversation with someone about Jesus. Talk about him. Discuss him. Describe what he has done in your life. If he means the world to you, and the world has never heard about him from you, maybe he doesn't mean as much as we thought. Do what Paul said. Hold out Jesus. And then after all of that teaching, Paul says something amazing. He says, but even if I am being poured out like a drink offering on the sacrifice and service coming from your faith, I am glad, and I rejoice with all of you. So you too should be glad and rejoice with me. Paul said a lot in those two verses. I don't want you to miss it. Remember, Paul was in prison. It was possible he was going to be found guilty of treason against the emperor, and he could become a martyr. He knew death was a real possibility, and he said, if my life is poured out like a drink offering. In the Old Testament, Jews, as a sacrifice, as a gift to God, would take a cup and fill it with liquid, and they would pour everything they had out on the altar. They would pour everything that was in that cup. There was nothing left. And it was all poured out. It was all his. And Paul understood that his whole life was poured out before God. Not just his life, but also his death. And that kind of sacrifice and death led Paul to rejoice and be happy. He knew the Philippians, if they discovered that he had been convicted and killed, they would be sad and they'd be sorrowful. And he says, don't weep for me. He wanted them to know that we shine brightly when we celebrate in adversity. In the middle of the gloom and doom in our world, followers of Jesus Christ react with a smile on our face and joy in our heart. Now, I understand this isn't easy. In the midst of adversity, it's difficult, it's challenging, but we find hope in Jesus. We celebrate what he's done. Let your joy shine in the darkness. When you face grief and loss, you know what you remember? Do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is what? Your strength. When you are facing attack, when people are coming after you, the Bible says, the Lord is my what? Strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him, and I am thankfully what? Helped. My heart leaps for joy, and I will give thanks to him in a song. If you're going through a lot today, you're suffering, it's pain-filled right now. Peter tells us, but rejoice that you participate in the sufferings of Christ so that you may be overjoyed when his glory is revealed. And when trials come, and they will, and when difficult times assault us, we with James say, bring on the trials because we consider it pure what? Joy. And rejoicing means that we're thankful to God for what we have, and maybe we're thankful to God for what we don't have. And we rejoice because we share in what has happened in our lives. It means we celebrate the good things, and we continue to celebrate when the bad things happen. Now, on your handout, I left some space at the bottom, and those of you who've put it away, get it back out real fast. Because the assignment we're going to do together today. You don't take it away and leave. I want you to take about a minute, and I want you to write down on your handout what you're thankful for. What are you celebrating? Because the assignment this week is celebrate what Jesus is doing in your life. Let's celebrate what God has done.